here's a great one for clickbait. There was a headline that came out on MMA Weekly, and it was that Cowboy Cerrone was offered money by the UFC to take a dive against Conor McGregor. That's a hard statement for me to even get out because of the level of ridiculousness. Guys, that did not happen. Period. We could stop right there. But if we did stop right there, we can't have any fun. So let's talk about it for a couple minutes. Here's the deal. Why would that ever happen to start with? Why? What would the motive be? And then you'll get the conspiracy. Well, you got to get Conor a win, and he's a really big star. And First off, let me stop you right there. Conor hasn't fought in a meaningful period of time. He had the Khabib fight, then he went to another fight and did Mayweather, which was just over 2 years ago. And then before that, it was Eddie Alvarez at like the end of 2016? I mean, it's something weird like that. It was a meaningful period of time. So to act as just to stop you right there. Okay, this whole, we need Conor. They haven't had Conor in a minute. Okay, Conor's career, not for nothing, has been very wonderful, but it has been very short. So they didn't have him before, they haven't had him for a while, and there's no guarantee he's going to be back. So to make believe that anybody needs anybody is silly, and it's just not true. I remember when the same dialogue came around Ronda or when it came around Brock Lesnar, and you have some of these big stars at the time. But meanwhile, you got Israel Adesanya selling 57,000 tickets in Australia. I mean, by example, to make believe that there aren't levels of stars, to make believe that shows aren't completely sold out and the business isn't great while on the worldwide leader of ESPN, I mean, it's just silly. It's just not true. Now, even if we can accept how silly that is and how unimportant that is, and people will always love to hear what I just said and then come over the top of it and go, are you kidding me? Conor versus Khabib is a much bigger fight. Okay, guys, how much money do you want to make? Right. How much money do you want to make? Is Khabib and Tony not a huge fight? Yes, that's a really huge fight. Well, but if it was Conor versus Khabib, okay, I get it. But stop. It's just silly, and you need to stop. So then you got to look at the other side of it. Guys, this would be illegal to the highest of levels. I assume that you would know that. Perhaps you don't, and I have to bring it up to you. For Cowboy to accept that, of which he wouldn't, of which he did. Okay, we're talking about something that didn't happen. He would go into jail. He would be put in handcuffs. It's illegal. This was actually tested just recently. There was a fighter. Was he from South Korea? It was somewhere in the last year who did a dive. And it had to do with a sports book. He somewhere placed a bet and something along these, and he did a dive. And it was a small under UFC fight, big under, and he got caught and they arrested him. That it is stealing, it is fraud. I cannot explain to you how illegal this would be. Your license would be gone. This is a privileged license for unarmed combat. It would be gone. You would never get it back. The promotion would be done. They also operate under a privileged license. To tell you guys how much this would never happen, I'll use Dana specifically by name. Dana hates a scripted promo. Like, take Henry Cejudo, who's doing some great scripted. Even Colby has been bringing his own cameras and putting stuff out. Dana doesn't like the scripted promo. He likes everything to be organic. He doesn't like anything fed because he doesn't like anything to look as though it's a show as opposed to a sport. And he will tell guys that. Any part of this thing is a show. He calls it the bells and whistles. I'll bring in. I will control and I will make sure it looks right, but it also preserves the integrity. If you start to do anything that looks silly, we get perceived as silly, and that's not what I want. He hates the scripted promo so much, but he won't tell a guy to not do a scripted promo because he feels as though telling somebody to not script their promo is him having a hand in the promo. So he drives him crazy, but he doesn't do it. So to act as though somebody would then play a hand in the manipulation of the winner of a contest to tell you the level of absurdity 5 times removed is all I can do. And if you're one of those jerks that wants to come back and go, oh yes, but it would be better for business, shut up. You're not a guy that does business. You're not. That's what you're saying you don't really know how this works. You're a chess player. You're a checkers player instead of chess. You're seeing today instead of the big picture. You're revealing yourself. If you're one of the guys on the underground forums saying, this is what the UFC wants and it would be better for the zip it. You don't know. You're playing checkers. When you say what's better for the organization, you're talking about right now in the very short term because you can't stand back at 10,000 square feet and see all the pieces moving. Do you think for a millisecond, do you really think that for a millisecond there is not a strategic plan in place at the headquarters in Las Vegas right now should Donald Cerrone win? Are you that naive and that new to the sport? Do you believe this whole thing is only based around if Conor wins, otherwise the train goes off the track? Come on. How long have you been following the sport? How did you find the great Chael Sonnen over here? I feel like you have to look for me just a little bit. You can't be that much of a newbie. And you can't participate in conversations that ridiculous.